I don't think that chair was facing this direction. Oh fuck. Ah! Fuck me, fuck me, fuck me, fuck me, fuck me. Apologies for the language.
Don't worry, I'm not going to ruin all the scares in this review, but I did want to give you a taster of what you might encounter in Madison VR. On that point, most of the captured footage you're seeing will be from the initial hour of the game, again to save from spoilers. Madison released as a flat non-VR version in 2022 across most major platforms and received a VR announcement last year, coming to again most major VR headsets as of May the 2nd, after a brief delay. The game was developed by Argentinian studio Bloodiest Games and is published by Perp Games, masters of VR horror. The game boasts that they're the scientifically scariest game ever made, so big thanks to Perp Games for the early review code, and Pure Dead Craig for the opportunity to review this and to shit myself repeatedly. My initial impressions didn't get off to a great start. The game starts you off in a dark room, lit only by the static display from a TV and small light. Fumbling in the dark seemed a little janky with regards to the VR controls and the PSVR 2 Sense controllers. I have, however, just put this down to a little bit of VR jank, and frankly I feel that since the day one patch, I do believe the controls behave themselves a little bit better, but sadly, just one of the byproducts of VR is there's always going to be a little bit of controller jank. Thankfully, I don't think it's actually as bad as maybe my first impressions felt after a couple hours of playing the game. The story begins in the aforementioned darkened room. You wake to your dad bashing at the door, Polaroid photos strewn across the floor with dismembered body parts, which you later find out is your family. Your quest is to uncover what's actually happened to your family, but also uncover the mystery of Madison Hale, who's the evil presence that will be stalking and haunting you throughout the game, with the ultimate objective being to uncover the mystery of Madison and find out exactly what is going on. Early on, you'll find your main tool and weapon in the game, a Polaroid camera. This camera is the main way that you'll interact with the world and even help solve a number of the puzzles. Something you'll discover early on as well is that there's no torch or flashlight in the game, meaning this is the only way you've got to look into some of the darker parts of the environment, and this leads to some of the best scares as well. Speaking of scares, Madison does an absolutely brilliant job of creating atmosphere, which in itself is terrifying at times. Floorboards and doors all creak in the shadows, the sound of thunder outside all adding to the audio immersion. I'd say the only game that rivals this is the Resident Evil games, specifically 7 and 8. Speaking of which, I quite like some of the vocal performances as well. I do, however, enjoy the fact that you can mute the main protagonist, if you did find that he was maybe giving out a little bit too much exposition. However, sometimes I feel that his exposition can be pretty handy at times. Graphically, the game looks excellent. Textures are sharp and detailed in my opinion, and the lighting is excellent. At times the environments can be dark, but that's the point. They're meant to be. It's a horror game after all. Overall, I can't say in recent years that I've played a VR horror this effective in making me shit myself. It's not just the jump scares, it's the foreboding tension that the game builds over time, with some excellent payoffs. I'm not trying to compare the game, but probably Resident Evil 7 was the last time I played a VR horror game this good. If you're a fan of VR horror and feel like you need a new game for the collection and a decent rush, then I really can't recommend Madison enough. That's why I'm giving Madison VR a 9 out of 10. Thanks again to Perp Games for the review code, and Pure Dead Craig for letting me get hands on with this early, even if the review wasn't. If you like this review, please consider dropping a like and subscribing to the channel for future game reviews, and mention in the comments your experiences with Madison VR. Thanks very much again for watching, and I'll catch you soon.
Ah, Jesus! I get fucked.